Mm. So, I was really debating on if I was going to do this live. I really was just going to do like a video or something. And actually, I wanted to go live. I wanted to go live on YouTube. On another platform that I just started. But I don't have no subscribers on there. So I tried to go live. And it was like, nope. So I couldn't go live on YouTube. So I'm forced to go live on Facebook. And I could have went live on Instagram, but it's too many people that I don't know that's probably going to come on my live. Which is probably better, because, I don't know, sometimes the people you know, it's better to just, avoid certain conversations with them. So I sat here for literally probably about 30 minutes just trying to figure out if I was going to go live or not. But I really feel like I need to just go ahead. I feel like I need to just go ahead and go live. Because I need to like really release some words. And so, and I could have just did a video, but I didn't really feel like looking at a camera and talking to the camera without interaction. But ain't nobody really in here, so I should have probably just did that anyway. But nonetheless, I'm just kind of using this as a video, as a journal, if you will. And I think I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel. The new YouTube channel that I just created. I'm gonna post the link in the status for this video. I think I feel cool with doing that because I just actually went through my Facebook friends list and just kind of went through. I only had about 500 and something people. I think it was like about 700 people, but I had to go through my friends list and just kind of clear it out for real, which I always seem to do every time I get a Facebook page. I always either start a new page or I will cleanse my page, because it'd be a lot of people that I don't really talk to like that on there, and it'd be a lot of people who I just don't be wanting to engage with for some reason, I guess. And then I be feeling like the more people that you have on your friends list, the less engagement you'll get, or whatever. Like Facebook won't make your stuff like really visible. So I went ahead and did that, and I had made a post about some stuff I was feeling last week, and I had decided rather than waiting for people to go ahead and remove me from their friends list, that I would just go ahead and remove the people. Oh shoot, hold on, because I just turned this air on, this heat on, and as soon as I started talking I got hot. So yeah, I just decided to go ahead and remove some of the people from the friends list. So because I guess I'm still a little conscious, a little self-conscious about certain views that I have, and I guess it's only, human nature or whatever. Not that I feel no type of way about it, because I'm just going with the flow of how things are going, which I'm about to really get into a little bit. But I just know that it's a lot of small-minded, closed-minded people who I've been connected to, and I don't really want to make myself subject to that, and I don't want to feel like I can't verbalize or express myself out of fear of being judged. And pardon me, I'm slightly lethargic. Been kind of having a little down type of day, kind of crying a lot, been real emotional. It's been real, I don't even know the words. And, if I didn't know any better, I would think that I was depressed, but I know better than that. And I know that I'm not depressed, and I know that I'm not sad, and I'm not bewildered or anything. That is not it. Because I've been in that space before many times. So that's not it. But I'm really struggling to, I'm not even gonna say struggling really. I'm just really having a time with this change, man. I'm having a time with this shift. It's really hard for me right now. And I needed to get on here and express how I feel. Hey, Deanna. Hey, Squeaky. Yeah, really been having a time with this. And I tried to get all my crying and all my emotions out. I'm trying not to be overcome by emotion right now. But, because I got to put this on my YouTube channel. And I just wish I could have went live on YouTube so I could just, whatever. You put videos up and it's not live on that platform. I don't know. In my mind, I feel like it needs to be a little more structured rather than free-flowing like this alive. So I'll deal with that later. But I've been slightly verbal over the last couple years about some of the changes I was experiencing, but I guess maybe not that vocal or transparent. But I can't deny that there has been a serious change in my life and in me. It's been such a change, and it's so overwhelming. I'm so sorry. I'm about to do the thing I said I wasn't going to do. It's so overwhelming for me right now, because when you're going through a spiritual change and a spiritual evolution, it's such a lonely place. It's so lonely because it's a work. It's something happening on the inside of me that I can't explain. I can't explain it. And in a lot of ways, I can't even. I'm sorry. I just don't want to cry. But in a lot of ways, I can't understand or comprehend. But it's like, I do understand. I do get it. But I don't. And when I look around and I look at the world and I see that, I know that I'm not the only person dealing with this and experiencing this. I know I'm not, because I be watching YouTube videos and I watch people's platforms and I see some other people who are having the same type of experiences. But like when I get on Facebook and I get on Instagram, I don't really see that usually portrayed because there's so much other stuff going on. But I know that there is a shift happening in this world right now. I know that there is some type of divide. And a lot of people would say that it is the last days and it's biblical, what's in the Bible and stuff. And I have no words for that right now because that is not what I feel is happening. And I've been doing some research and trying to understand over the last couple years what's going on, because when I first started experiencing this shift, it was like 2020. It was like when the pandemic started. And it's been a roller coaster ever since, with the knowings and understandings that I'm having on the inside, stuff that I can't explain, feelings that I have, things that I sense, things, even dreams and certain things. But it's hard to like verbalize these things to people because people stuck in a certain space. And I know what's happening on the inside of me, but I don't understand. And to say the least, or to say more, I guess, I made mention in a post like a couple months ago that way back in like 2006, I was real heavy in the church. And I think that for the most part, since I was a kid, I was always very much so like, focused on gaining knowledge of the truth and understanding like what it is, who God is, and all of that type of stuff. And I didn't grow up in church necessarily, though I was exposed to church at a young age. But before I even got exposed to church, I had an understanding at a very young age when I came into this world, from the time that I could remember. And one of the first feelings that I could remember feeling was that this world, that this life, that it was all a dream. And that stayed with me for a very long time. And I thought that everybody knew that this was all a dream, that it wasn't real. I thought that everybody knew that, and that I wasn't supposed to know, like I wasn't supposed to, like it was a secret, like we all knew, but nobody talked about it. And so that's just, it sounds crazy, but that's what I thought at a really young age. And then when I started going through different things in the system and with my family, with my father, and going through poverty and, all the things we dealt with. And I started seeing that life was real, started getting in fights and getting in trouble and, just getting picked on and just dealing with different things in life. I said, nah, like something on the inside of me just kind of woke up from that idea. So by like middle school, yeah, I was like, this is not a dream. This shit is real. And fast forward, well, no, let's stay right there. So then I got into church at some point as a kid, and then I felt myself seeking God for answers, because my mother told me at like 7 or 8 that it was a sin to be gay. And I never understood that. I didn't have a relationship with her like that. This was just on a random whim. Like, just, I saw her. I would see her sometimes when we would go to when I would visit my grandmother on the weekends, and she'd be around, she was on drugs and stuff. And, when I would see her, she might take me to the store. We might walk, we might talk or something like that. And we was walking to the store, and just out of the blue, she was like, it's a sin to be gay. And so I didn't register that. I didn't understand that. I was 8 years old. I'm like, what is gay? What is that? So I'm like, okay. But ironically, around that time, around 9, going into 10, I started to separate from my dad, and go into the system. So when I went into the system, and my grandmother went to church on the weekends, I would go to church with her. Then I moved with my aunt, who lived across the street from her, and they went to the same church. So my aunt took me in for a couple years. I was in group homes and stuff, and I lived with her. She went to church. She was active in church. So rightfully so, I became active in church. I was on the usher board. I was real heavy into that. But that kind of ran into, like, when my mother said, from 8 to 10, for me, that kind of all coincided with, the religious aspect. Because now that she said that to me, that kind of made me start to think about who God was and what was gay all about and all of this stuff that she was saying. And I didn't grow up in church. My dad had a Bible, but I never grew up in church. I didn't go to church or nothing. I didn't know anything about God, like the Mormons used to come on the block that I lived on, and it was these white guys on bikes, and they would come and they would, like, I was a little younger than 8. I was about 6 at that time. They would come and take the little kids to the park, and we would sit in the park across the street from the house and sing songs and talk about the Bible. But other than that, I didn't have any spiritual or religious upbringing. So when she said that to me at 8, it just kind of like something just went off in my head. It was like it was just like became so curious, like, what is all of this? What does she mean by that? So by the time I did get into church at 10, that's what I was looking for. And when I would go to my grandmother's house, she would be watching certain religious shows on TV, and I was always constantly looking for some type of an answer, something that would validate what she said to me, or something that would give me an explanation, because that's all she said. She didn't give me an explanation. She didn't say, anything else. All she said to me was that it was a sin to be gay. And I'm like, what is sin? Who is God? What is gay? And even though when I was a kid and I was going to the park with the Mormons, I didn't retain a lot of that stuff. I didn't, I don't remember nothing we talked about, but so that happened, and I just went on. And then eventually I kind of found the answer from the Christian perspective of what that was all about. As, time went on, and I began to understand. And as I began to grow up, from like maybe I say as I went into becoming a teenager, you start, your hormones start to, grow, and you start to really like, how we be. And so I be in church and shit, and I'm thinking about sex and shit, and my hormones is all raging and all of this stuff. And, and I'm like, oh my God, if people just only knew what I was thinking about. Like, and I just was so embarrassed and ashamed, because I don't know. But I knew that I came to the conclusion that it wasn't necessary. It was a lust thing that was wrong. That's what I think, the conclusion I came to. So I found myself like really, battling with that thing. But by the time I got to like, eventually I went back into the system at 14. I lived with my aunt for a couple years, went back into the system because things didn't go quite well there for 2 or 3 years that I lived with her. So by 14, I was back in the group homes and, wherever. And I wasn't in church, but I was very heavily, very spiritual in terms of like I would pray every night. And I was doing that from the age of 10. I was doing that from the age of 10 all the way up until I did start going to church with her. I would pray. When my mother said what she said to me, I would pray. I would read my Bible every night and all of that. And I just was seeking God, seeking answers, seeking truth. And then once I got back into the system, I would go to church with like, some of the group home counselors, the ones who were going to church. The kids, they weren't really in the church, but they knew I was in the church. I loved my gospel. I'd be in my room by myself, listening to my gospel, be riding my bike, listening to my gospel. I was just was, into that type of stuff. And I was just always kind of different, and kind of by myself and stuff like that. But the counselors, they would take me to church. I think my broadcast paused, and I'm just seeing the comments. I didn't know it was comments. Hey, everybody is saying hi. Hey. So anyway, I would go to church with the counselors. So then I went to college, went to Morgan finally, and I was just, out there. I was partying, I was clubbing, I was doing whatever, hate my friends or whatever. I was being grown because there's a lot of stuff I didn't have growing up. So I got a car. I didn't know how it was to experience all of the things that I had started to experience when I moved back to Baltimore and went to Morgan. But something happened and things got real rocky. I lost everything I had. I got evicted, lost everything. I was about 21, 22. And deep down inside, because I had a relationship with God at 10, at such a young age, a real personal relationship with God, or, a seeking type of, I'm on live, yeah, a certain seeking type of mentality already at that young age, that by the time I got to college and started doing what I wanted to do, I knew deep down inside that I wasn't doing something right. And so when things started going wrong, I wrecked my car, the first car I had. I wrecked my car. I lost my job, and I got evicted all in a matter of like 3 months. And I didn't find no fault in anybody else but myself. And I thought that that was God's way of getting my attention. And so I went with that. And I had met somebody. He had introduced me to, his friends, and they was all in the church real heavy. And so I began to get back into church. I left all the friends I had. I stopped cussing. I stopped listening to secular music. Everything, the whole path that I was on as a young child, I started now getting back on that path as a young adult. And for about 6 or 7 years, I was in church real heavy. I became an artist, a gospel artist. I was doing ministry. I was very vocal about a lot of my testimony and things that, God had brought me through and stuff. But I remember back in 2006, I was staying with a friend, and I went home after work because all I would do all day is pray. Like, no matter where I was at, I'd be at work, I'd be walking, I'd be on a bus. Sometimes I'd preach on the bus. I'd be walking here, I'd be going there, and all I'd be doing is praying all the time. Always thinking about God, always seeking God. Never seeking for money, never asking for anything that, all I wanted was to live right. All I wanted was to be holy. All I wanted was to do the right thing. But in 2006, I was sitting on the couch, about to read. I would get home from work, and I would always had to read my scriptures before I did anything else. And I wanted to get on MySpace. And I was torn between my flesh and me doing what I would normally do for my spirit. And so something was like, no, you need to do what you're supposed to do. So I started reading. And this feeling just came over me. And it just was like, it was just a feeling. And I just stopped and I just was like, like, God, is that you? Like, is that you? And then I hear my own voice. I hear my own voice in my head. Something, I don't know what I heard. And then I hear, you're going to go to the nations. You know, all the churchy shit that people say, you're going to go to the nations and you're going to do this and that. And then in my own voice, I heard, seek me a little while longer. And then next thing I know, the voice changed. I heard it really turned into a real voice, like a audible man. I hear the voice like it was yesterday. It was like a powerful thunder, like a voice of thunder in my ears ringing. And I used to go to church at that time, and the pastor used to always say, oh, I can hear God just ringing in my ears. He'd be up there prophesying, and I can hear it as clear as day. It's ringing in my ears. And I never understood that, but it was ringing in my ears. And it just kept saying, seek me a little while longer, seek me a little while. And it started speeding up and getting louder. And it was very dramatic, overly dramatic. Nothing like I've ever experienced to this day. And my ears was just ringing. And for the next few days, my ears was just ringing. And that was that. And that was almost like a confirmation to me. I don't know, like I'm doing something right, or just keep seeking God and whatever's going to happen. But just the voice that I heard, that was so real. It was so real. And that was that. And so all these years passed. I was still in the church real heavy. And still doing my music and stuff. And things, wasn't going necessarily right or great, but I was always content, I was always content. Like, just because I never had nothing growing up. Like, I couldn't be nothing but content. So my heart was always to just, like, seek God. Like, that was important. That was just always important to me. But then I moved to Atlanta, and I wasn't really in church like that. But, I moved to Atlanta in 2016, and I really wasn't in church at all, really, but I still held tight to my faith in God. But I had decided that I wasn't going to be in church because when I was in church in Baltimore, I had to leave every church that I was at because it was not right. It wasn't right. It didn't sit right with me. I remember the very pastor I was just talking about, and I looked up to, this was the first church I had ever joined on my own. And a pastor who I admired and I really looked at as a mentor and stuff. We was in church one day, and he was telling the people, he was like, when I blow on you, that means a fresh wind is coming over you. And like people would be emotional all the time. You know, it's a real worshipy kind of church. And it was always women and children. It was always the same women. It was always the same people who were always, you know, they was going through something. They was always at the altar crying. It was always seemed like they was having a time, you know. And then I just felt like he was just playing on their emotions. Like he was just playing on their, you know, and it was just enough to get you by from Sunday to Sunday. But I think in my spirit, I just kind of felt like, why are these people going through the same stuff every Sunday? Why are they always burdened? Why are they always crying? Why are they always... I understood worship because I was a worshiper. I understood that. You know, I understood that. They had it better than me. Shit, they had cars, they had family, they had all the things that I wish that I had. But they was always traumatized, it seemed like. But I was so baffled, and I couldn't explain it. I was so baffled when he was saying this, and I had already been wrestling in my spirit about leaving, and I even had told him, I sat down with him, because I was an honest guy. I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling like this. I met with him one time before that service, and I just was like, I'm feeling like, you know, God is telling me, or something's telling me, like, I'm supposed to leave. And I didn't really understand. And he, you know, we talked, and I was like, yeah, I don't remember what he said, but he basically was just letting me know he was there. He's a real good guy, seemed like an integral person, you know. So I stayed. But when he was saying what he was saying in that service, I couldn't take it. I just got up and just left in the middle of the service, and I never went back because something in my spirit said, this is not God. This is not right. Like something about this is off to me. So I never went back. And I served in a couple of churches. I went to an apostolic church. No, the next church that I went to was a friend of mine who was the armor bearer of that pastor. He had left that church and started a new church, and a lot of my close circle was affiliated with him. So I went to his church. I was like, well, he was a younger pastor, somebody I was friends with, somebody I felt like I could relate to a little more. So I went there. It's a real small church. I would play, you know, help out with worship and stuff there. And this was probably about in 2008, 2009. And that church didn't last long. That was a cool experience, but it just, you know, whatever. And then I went from there to a apostolic church, and that was different. But I met somebody in the former Mills on Bel Air Road in Baltimore, and we ended up talking in the store. He found out I did music. He's like, yeah, you know, maybe we can help each other out. Can you help me out with my group? I'll help you out with your stuff. Well, I ended up helping him out, singing in his group, and went to his church and started. He found out I could play the piano or whatever, and asked me to be a part of the band at the church. I started playing with the church, and I wasn't that great, and I had never played in the apostolic church. That was a whole different experience, but he taught me, he helped me out. And I was like, man, it's a different style of preaching, and you know, they preaching you can't wear dresses, you can't wear this and that, and this is a real different doctrine. I grew up in a Baptist church. You know, I was in a Baptist church. I was in a non-denominational church, but they preaching Jesus, and I like what he's saying. Even though I don't like all the hooping and hollering all the time, but I like what he's saying. And I met with the pastor, and I told him, I was like, I want to join the church, because the way I felt, it was like, if I'm serving at the church every Sunday, I should be a member of the church. I want to be here. I want to be in Bible study. I want to be a part of this. And I met with the pastor. I went in the office, and I'll never forget. I told him, I was like, you know, I want to join the church. You know, I want to join. You know, I don't want to just be a part of I don't want to just be a musician here. And he was like, okay. He was like, have you been baptized in the name of Jesus with the evidence of speaking in tongues? I'm like, I have spoken in tongues before. And that was something that I did, that I discovered in my own little private time or whatever. But that's not something. I was like, no, I was actually baptized in a Baptist church. And I was baptized in Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. And he basically told me I wasn't saved. He told me that I had an incomplete work of salvation, so it wasn't complete because I wasn't baptized in Jesus' name, and I didn't speak in tongues and all of that. So I'm like, you know, he's like, you got to be baptized in Jesus' name if you want to join the church. And I'm like, shit, I get baptized twice. Baptized in Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and in Jesus' name. Now I'm double baptized. Sure, why not? I get baptized. Everything cool. But then, the more I looked at that was crazy. Like, he was bringing up the women in the church, comparing them to the older women, telling them they couldn't wear nail polish, making them take their shoes off, checking their feet. You couldn't wear this and that. You couldn't do this and that. It was just so overly just like legalistic, you know. So I left there. I couldn't do that no more. I stayed there for about a year. I was like, nope, that's not it. Then I went to another non-denominational church. I just was like, I'm just going to go. I don't want to serve. I don't want to sing. I don't want to do nothing. I'm just going to go and sit down and get the word. That was like in 2010. I go there. They find out, because I knew people that went there, they find out that I do music, that I can sing a little bit. You know, they find out, you know, I can play a little bit. So now they're like, well, you mind helping us out? You know, because they had a musician. He would leave to go play for another church, and then they didn't have a musician. So they was like, well, you know, I wasn't getting paid or nothing, because I didn't consider myself no real musician, like a church musician. I didn't grow up in church. I was okay, but I wasn't nothing great who you want to pay. I just was like, I'll help out. And I had a heart for ministry just to help. So I did. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't want to, but I did. And I felt fine serving, and I did that. But, you know, that ended up going left because, you know, the pastor, they kind of took advantage of me. And then they moved to another building, and they decided they was upgrading, so they wanted to get a better musician, but they basically fired me, and I wasn't getting paid. They fired me, but didn't tell me basically that I wasn't gonna be playing. It was kind of like, well, thank you for your help. We got somebody, you know, we gonna pay now. So they got that person. It was cool, but I ended up leaving there, and I was on a praise team and stuff there, serving as well as playing when that, you know, the musician was leaving. It was cool. But I left, and when I left there, I was just like, well, at that point, I was like, well, dang, I don't feel like God is really leading me nowhere. I don't know. I felt like kind of like in the wilderness, you know. I just kind of felt like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to be. And I just wanted God to lead me to where he wanted me to be. I didn't want to just go because, you know, I just felt, and whatever leading means or meant at that time, I don't know. Maybe God did lead me there, but I just kind of was feeling like, I don't know. So I stopped going to church for a while. And I was still doing my music. I still was heavy into ministry, but I just didn't have a church. And people would tell me like, you know, you really need a covering. You really need to be in church. You need to be under somebody. And I was like, I get it. And I kind of disagreed because I had a heavy, strong relationship with God. I mean, to me, it seemed I was more sincere, I feel like, than some of the people that was in the church. And I'm just like, well, you know, if I feel like the pastor isn't really, not that they're not sincere or they're not serious or real, but if I just found so much flaw, like, and I'm like, I don't know. I just didn't feel right about it. So, and I felt like until God lead me to where he want me to be, I'm gonna have to just wait for him to lead me somewhere. I'm not just gonna go wherever because I didn't have great experiences where I went. So that's it. And so then in 2016, like I said, I moved here. At this time, I didn't stop doing gospel. I'm starting to do my R&B and stuff, but I still believe in God and I still believe what I believe. But I just decided that the institutional church wasn't what I needed, you know. And so that was that. But then fast forward to 2020, whenever the pandemic started, that was the end of 2019. I was straight like on my, you know, I was on the ball, on the move, on the roll. Like I had some things I was trying to do. You know, I was working on my project and brainstorming for that, and things is looking real good. You know, I came to Atlanta, started from scratch, didn't know nobody. I built my I was building my audience and getting my name out there. Came a long way for me not to know nobody here, never did R&B. Like, I really did a good job with that, and I had bigger plans and I wanted to do more, but prior to me finding out what was going on, like the rest of the world with the, COVID and stuff, I had started having this inner type of what you call like examination, unintentionally, but I was dealing with a lot at my job, and I've been in healthcare for over 15 years. And so I was having issues in the job. I worked in the operating room, and a lot of the people who I work with, I had some different issues with people because people could be a trip. And, naturally, I'm the type of person who I just like peace, I like peace. I like people I just like good spaces, but then I have a whole nother side where I could be people don't even know, like some people know, but people don't know the other side I had or that I have. And so when I would go into these, into, spaces where I had to work with people in Atlanta, I had already experienced all of the crazy stuff in the OR and how people are, because people are tripping in the operating room. That's a whole nother world. And I was the youngest. When I started at Mercy, I was 24? And them people chewed me up and spit me out. And I had to grow some balls. I was the church boy who was, trying to love everybody, trying to be nice. No, I had to toughen up. And so by the time I got to Atlanta, I wasn't dealing with a lot of the stuff I dealt with at a young age, starting out in the medical field and how them people are, that you work, that be in the OR. But I saw myself becoming somebody, being the person I didn't want to be. I became, very much so like, I was a good person. I was myself, but I just didn't like having to display being out of character. That's what it was. I felt myself out of character a lot. So around the time of COVID, I was something was just clicking in me, like, you have to get back to who you really are. You can't control what people do. I had became to a point where I wouldn't speak to people. I wouldn't talk to people. And I had no problem with it. Like, I would go in there and I'll tell you how I feel flat out. I didn't care. I wasn't nasty. I didn't cuss people out. I wasn't that type of nasty, but I was the type of nasty. People was nastier than me, to be honest. But, but that wasn't me. That just wasn't me, and so I felt this tugging on myself, like, you have to get it together. You have to get it together. But that turned into something else. And so when COVID happened and everything just kind of stopped, like everybody else is forced to stop, I was forced to stop. So I was in here in this apartment, and I would just be like, I don't even know, just like really going like really inward, or like really, internalizing myself and stuff. But that turned into something else. So I came across some information. Oh, let me back up a little bit. So shortly before that, I'll say 2017, 2018, I would talk to a friend of mine who I've been knowing for over 15, 20 years. And we was all in church together in Baltimore. We did ministry together and stuff. Well, this person in 2015, shortly before I left Baltimore, she became, not a Christian. She'd been in church all her life, but she kind of started discovering some things. And I kind of was looking like, okay, cool. But we kind of parted ways. I felt like maybe we was outgrowing each other. And so for a couple years, we didn't really talk like that until I moved to Atlanta. But she was still in Baltimore, and we reconnected. And so when I got here, we would talk on the phone and stuff, and she'd be talking to me about, certain things that she had been discovering, certain things that she learned. And I didn't have any judgment. I didn't understand, but I just would listen. She was one of them people who just talked a lot. We talk on the phone for hours, and she'd be talking to me about like reincarnation. She'd be talking to me about all of this stuff, and I just kind of be like, okay, I ain't really, I would just listen. And truthfully, I didn't really retain most of what she was saying. I just would literally just listen, and that was it. I'd be at work talking to her and whatever, get my work done while she talking. And so I told her, like, I remember telling her, matter of fact, this was the beginning of 2019. I told her, we was on the phone, I was like, I don't really have a desire to be religious. I was telling her, like, I don't want to be religious. I don't feel like I want to study nothing. I don't really want to dive into anything. I want to just be. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus and all of that, but I don't really want to get into none of that. So fast forward to that pandemic and everything, it was just odd to me that some information came across my news feed, across my feed on YouTube that I just kind of clicked on without even thinking. And the information that was presented to me just really, really, it resonated with me in such a way that it wasn't even like it was information. It was almost more like a knowing, something that I already knew. And I just was like, yeah, like that, like that's it. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. And then I was brought back all the way back to the place where I was when I was a kid, and I felt like the world was this was a dream. And so it came back full circle, and then it hit me that like I wasn't tripping. Like some part of that was really true. How did I have that knowing? I don't know. And I'm trying to think right now whether I even should be going into detail, but maybe I'll say that for a later time. I don't know. But nonetheless, it's been an up and down type of thing because I discovered this information and I've started to research and I started to listen to what other people had to say, and I just started to like watch I started to watch videos and listen to lectures and even read books. I started to read books and stuff like that. And, and over the last few years, that's what I've been doing, just really. And at first it was very much so like honky-dory, happy-go-lucky, like, yay, like, kumbaya, let's love everybody, and yay. But then after about a year, and then I'm healing. I started writing my book, and I've been doing my meditation, and I was doing my affirmations, all of the things that I needed to change, that inner voice that was telling me that it was time to get back to who I was and, focus on my inner self. And I started doing my affirmations, I'm love, I'm light. If you go down my timeline, go back, you'll see all the stuff I was posting. I'm love, I'm light, I'm this. I would say that to myself out loud every day. I would do my affirmations, I do my meditation, and I'm, I'm growing in love, and I felt myself changing, getting back to the core of who I am, and it's amazing. And I'm so happy that happened. But then after about a year or so, I found myself in a real low place, and I couldn't really put my finger on it, but I was trying to research because I was like, am I depressed? What's going on? Why am I feeling like this? Kind of how I was feeling today, but it's really having a hard time. And then I started, like, I don't feel like I'm depressed. Like, why would I be depressed? Because I've been through all of these things, and we all go through shit. Like, there's people who've been through stuff worse than me. There's people in other countries who have it way worse than us. There's people that I know. So, and it's not, I don't be having no pity party, and I've been healing. I've been really healing from that trauma. So I can't be depressed. I know what it's like to be depressed, but why am I feeling like this? And then I found out it's something that they call the dark night of the soul. And so when I had what I now know, or what I then knew, as a spiritual awakening, some call it, or whatever. That was really what I was experiencing in the beginning. But then I realized you have this part, what they call a dark night of the soul. Because what happened was, when everything started to change, it was like I couldn't eat the same food no more. Like I was I was nauseous. Like the food that I was eating, I couldn't fathom it no more. You know, so I started fasting a lot. I started doing intermittent fasting because I was a little bit overweight. Now, I wasn't fat or nothing, but I could have lost like 20 pounds, which I did. And so I started fasting from doing that. But then I realized it was something that I needed to do because I couldn't eat like that. And so around that time, I started smoking weed, and that was helping me because I didn't have an appetite. I couldn't eat those fatty food. I couldn't eat all of that garbage no more. So with me smoking, it helped me to be able to eat, because I didn't have an appetite like that. So everything was changing. It felt like I was just becoming somebody different. And I liked it. And then when I found out what it was and what was going on, I was happy about it. But then when I started experiencing these low moments of like what felt like depression, and then I found out it was like the dark night of the soul, your body, your flesh, or your ego, or whatever, the part of you, the part of me, I realized that wasn't the divine part of me or the higher part of myself. Is almost like your body wants what it wants. You know how like in the Bible and in scripture, they talk about killing your flesh and stuff like that. I was experiencing that, but it was like my body wanted, and it's not just relative to food, but it's relative to all of the distractions, all of the things that the body just wants because we're controlled by our senses. In this earth, in this plane, in this dimension, most people are controlled by their senses, and how we identify in this realm and in this body is through our senses, through touch. So, your flesh or your ego or this avatar is always wanting what it wants, because that's what we get from birth. All we know how to do is sense until you become spiritual. So then you have the spiritual man and the spiritual part of yourself that is not necessarily separate, but it is separate. And that wants something totally different. But then your flesh wants what it wants. So now I'm torn between the two. So you go through this period of the dark night of the soul where you're starving your body. I'm meditating now. I'm saying affirmations. It's almost like these words, these affirmations, these things that I'm doing is changing me from the inside out. And now the things that I wanted, I no longer want. I know that feeling. I know that story because I was in church. I was a Christian, but this was different. This wasn't a sacrifice. This wasn't me trying to be holy. This wasn't me trying to be right. And I hate to say like I was forced to do it because it's not really like that. But it was almost like a thing like it was almost like I didn't have a choice. I did have a choice, but I didn't have a choice. Whatever was happening, whether I wanted it to happen or not. And I promise you, I remember sitting on this couch in 2019, because me and my best friend, we had just had a show at Empire Lounge. It was going good. We had did another show that was sold out. I was planning. I was working on my EP. I was so like, yo, I'm about to go to the next level. I'm working on strategies to build my brand and build my audience and my following, because now I finally found my rhythm as an artist. I can see some of the fruits of my labor starting to pay off. I just got to work a little harder. So now I'm planning. I'm trying to do all of this stuff. The last thing that was on my mind was anything about God, about spiritual stuff. None of that. I was so content. The only thing I wanted to do was to see things from a different perspective and just be Antonio and be my true self, and not necessarily operate in a space that operate in a space that is out of character, or be that other part of myself, or operate in the flesh, if you will. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to be true to myself. But the rest of that stuff, I didn't want it. So when all of this stuff kind of hit, it was just very unexpected for me. But so I know it wasn't nothing I was trying to do. It just happened. But I felt myself changing. I felt myself becoming a better person. I really did. And now with the understanding and the knowledge that I had at the time of who we were, because at the time I had this idea that we were divine souls, that we were divine beings, and that everything that the Bible was saying in terms of us being like, you know, of us being sinners, or us not being, or our nature being like us having a sinful nature, that was something that I didn't identify with anymore. So I felt like my spirit man was really growing, and I began to tap into the divine part of myself, and the higher part of myself, and the God self, if you will, that is in me. And so I started doing that, and I discovered so much. And I have to do another video because I can't even go into detail right now. I just want to vent and share how I'm feeling today, and what led up into how I'm feeling right now. And so all of that's good. But it's like when you learn something new and you start to, hold on, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going with this now, because I don't want to get off track. Like, I was trying to find people to talk to. I was trying to find people who could identify, because the information that I found and the knowing that I had and what I discovered was so much. And it is still so much. And there's much more, because as I begin to learn, and I'm beginning to understand some things, and it's like you have more questions, and and I needed somebody to talk to. I needed somebody I could relate to. And I had one person, that same friend I was telling you about, we would talk, but that was a different kind of experience, and that wasn't necessarily, it helped me get through that time, but I wanted to share it with people. I wanted to tell people what I was experiencing, because I'm like, I wonder if everybody is experiencing this. But then when I started watching YouTube videos, and I started like looking at what was going on online, and tapping into the different communities, and the spiritual community in particularly, I started seeing that this is something that a lot of people have been experiencing for a while, but really over the last couple years, since 2020. So I knew that I wasn't by myself, but I just couldn't find anybody who I could relate to, because all of the people who I'm connected to, and most of the people who I know, like, they come from a certain religious background, and which is primarily Christian. So not that I felt judged, but I just felt like nobody could really relate, or nobody could really understand. And it's not, their fault. They just couldn't relate. And I didn't know who else I could really talk to other than that one person, really. And so I've been in the house the last couple years. Like, I was out performing everywhere. I was out, being most social, most, more of an extrovert, which I'm typically kind of more of an introvert. But because I'm a Leo, I can be very much social and the life of the party and the center of attention if I really want to be. And that's kind of how it had been in a lot of times. But I went from all of that to being, now I don't really perform that much, because when I was having that first year of that awakening period, I didn't want to do music no more, because it was like I wanted to. I've always been purpose driven when I did gospel and stuff, and wanted to be an inspiration and uplift people. But I was also trying to build a platform, and I felt like I was getting beside myself, and I felt like my focus was off because now I was thinking so much about building a platform that I'm not going to say I lost touch with the mission that I always had to uplift and encourage and inspire and stuff like that. But it became like, I see potential now. The potential that some other people saw in me, I now see in myself. My confidence is better. Oh, I could definitely make it in the industry. I could definitely build a platform if I just do some more of the right things. Like I'm doing all right. But so that was my plan. But when everything had changed, I just was like, I don't have a passion for that. That's not what I'm about. I want to be purposeful. I want to do what I came here on this earth to do. And that's not necessarily to be famous or be popular. So I stopped doing music. And since COVID had kind of came anyway, I wasn't nobody performing and stuff, but I had this project I've been working on, and it changed so much. And I just gotta, I gotta, I got the motivation to go ahead and get it done. And I finally found the songs, and I found the project and the sound that I was like, yeah, this is it. And it feels true to me. And so I have a whole project that's almost done. Financially, I had really been struggling. I left the medical field. When I tell y'all everything changed in my life, which seemed like over a good 6-month period of time, soon as I made peace with my job, with all the people at my job, not saying anything, but not speaking to them or apologizing or reconciling, but literally just forgiving everybody, making peace with every situation, everything in my life. It was almost like I was released from that. I had been trying to get away from that job for like 5 years that I've been there. As soon as I did that, another opportunity arose. And I took the opportunity as a work from home job. And, but it came with a pay cut. So I don't make nearly as much as what I made. Things got a little, it wasn't like I was making a whole lot then, but I'd have been making a lot more now if I would have stayed there. And in fact, I was about to get a raise, a significant raise before I left. So everything changed. My job changed. I didn't feel like I was the same person at all. A lot of people who I was dealing with, I really wasn't dealing with no more because I kind of excused myself from those circles because, my interests kind of changed at that time and I wasn't doing music. Then I certainly didn't have a desire to go out when people was going out. I didn't have a desire to go to the lounges. I didn't have a desire to perform at these showcases. I just didn't have a desire for that, and I still don't. And so I had been just in the house, just healing, writing, working on my project, working on my book that I've been working on, and also, just working on me. Been, just getting my body, doing my stretches and my meditations and my affirmations and, just really putting that time into myself and getting in touch with that inner voice and getting in touch with my inner self and all of that. But it's been a roller coaster. And so now I have really, even more than what I discovered in that first year, is almost like, it's just a work. I can't put it into words, bro. It's something that's been brewing, that's been happening on the inside of me for a while. And now I'm at a point where it's undoubtedly, I have no doubt that I can't even say I don't know, because I do know, but I can't share it as freely as I want to share because people won't understand. And so I don't really look for anybody to talk to anymore. I don't really look for that anymore because nobody who I deal with really understands. And so, and I figured out that that none of this is nothing we thought. And I'm so sorry, but it's not. It's just not. And the more that I grow and the more that I learn, it's like, bro, I'm so messed up, because what do you do with this? Like, what do you do? What do you do with all of this? I'm talking about from religion to the world, the way everything is happening, and all of the distractions. And now, I mean, my appetite for everything is different. I can't even do not, like, I be trying to watch shows and shit. Like, I be having, like, I ain't never watched so much TV in my life since I've been in the house the last couple years. But I had went through my period where I wasn't watching no TV. I was all into, my studies and stuff like that. But then I got to a point where I was just kind of chilling a lot in here and watching Netflix and watching shows and catching up on my shows. But now when I try to watch stuff, slowly but surely, it's like I can't even focus on it. It doesn't excite me. Nothing that excited me, nothing that I found interest in, it don't interest me no more. Like, music is fine. Like, I love doing music, and I love performing too. I performed a couple times recently, or one time, I think, recently. And I'm looking to get back out there and do stuff, not the same type of stuff, but, to do that. And, I want to do all of these things, and I have more vision that I have, like, in terms of, like, being a motivational speaker, sharing my stories, and with my book. It's so many different things that I want to do. But even with that, it's always been kind of like, when I be ready to do it, it's like, I'm not ready yet. It's like, it's not time yet. And whether it's an inner voice that said, or whether I just don't do nothing. But then then I had a period in time not long ago where that inner voice was saying, just do something. Just do something. This is the window of opportunity right now. This is the window of opportunity. It don't matter what you do. Just do something, because whatever you do is going to work. It's going to work. But I just hadn't been able to figure out what I wanted to do in that moment. So I'm making progress, but just slow progress. But it's still like, it's not time yet. And as I'm still moving, as I'm still planning and still trying to wait for that next window of opportunity so I can go ahead and do it, because I missed the window of opportunity. Now I have a more heightened understanding. Is even more of a heightened understanding of spiritually of what's happening. And so now I'm yet again distracted from everything. And I be having dreams. I be having dreams. I be having sensations, and like, I remember, like, the other night I had a dream. It wasn't nothing too extra, but it's enough to make me kind of like wonder, like, I had a dream about this guy, this older guy. I just remember how he looked. I don't even know, somebody who he came and he had a army fatigue jacket on. And then as I got closer to him, it turned into a trench coat, but it was a short trench coat. And we was talking. I was like, I got a trench coat just like that. I got a long trench coat. And he was like, yeah, I know you got a trench coat like this, but I don't know who it was. It wasn't nothing deep. That was a very light dream, very quick, but I don't know. But dreams like that, and all of the dreams I be having, it comes with a feeling. It comes with a sensation. It comes with a memory. It comes with something with it, but I can't put my finger on it. It's like I can't really, like, I had a dream that I was almost like I was in another life. Like I was in another lifetime, another lifetime. In this dream, I was on a campus with a group of people, and it was females, but it was like I was a female when we was on the campus, and it was all of this stuff that was happening. This is a recurring dream that I had with different stuff, but it was almost like I was a different person. I knew it was me, but I wasn't Antonio. I was a whole nother person. And I don't know if it was another lifetime. I don't know. Because I didn't believe in reincarnation. I didn't believe in past lives. I didn't believe in all of that stuff. But I be having these I really can't explain it, but it's like memories. It's like, but it's almost like deja vu, but it's not really deja vu. You know what I'm saying? It's like a memory, like different memories. And that was real random. I'm all over the place because I can't really put it into words. But the good thing is, I made amends with my dad. Because of all of this, I was able to forgive my dad. I was able to heal from all of that stuff. So we have a great relationship now. I'm so thankful for that. And I'm going to really talk about a lot of that in my book. But I can't really, I can't seem, thank you, Squeaky. I can't really seem to push past this place that I'm in, because of the stuff that I know that's going on. And it's hard because I don't know who I could really, like, it's a couple people who I know I could talk to that will understand, but oh man, it's like I don't know. It's like, it seemed like everybody, not everybody, because it's not everybody. It seems like a lot of people are just kind of like doing their own thing or whatever. And you have some people, you got half of the people who changing, because I see a lot of people changing physically around me. A lot of my friends, a lot of people who I know, they lost a lot of weight. They don't look the same. People's diets have changed. It's like it's a sense of like elevation happening with a lot of people. But and then you got other people who are just stuck in the same space. But it seems like even the people who are like making physical changes and physical moves, they may not necessarily be privy to some of the reasons why some of this stuff has happened. But I feel like I am in some ways, and I don't know everything. I know I don't, but it's hard because I don't have an outlet and I can't relate. And I become like a hermit, and I just be in the house all the time because I don't have a desire to do nothing. I mean, I did have a desire to like go out and do stuff again, but every time I try to get back into that mindset, it's like something, and it's not depression. It's not depression. It's not, because I've been there before, and that's what makes it crazy. That's what makes it so crazy. And at one point, I just wanted things to go back to the way they were before I started discovering all of the stuff, before I started, to grow and evolve that way on the inside. But it's not going back there. It's not going back. It's not. And the world is changing, and the world is about to change, and things are going to be whatever they're going to be. I don't see myself going back to that same person. I can't, And so I'm just saying that it's hard. I just wanted to get on here and just like share, because I just need an outlet to just, and I wish I could be a little more explicit in what I am going through, but I can't be as transparent right now. I can't be that transparent for some reason. But I got some videos I did. I'm about to put them on my channel. I got a whole new YouTube. So the whole point, I was going to get on here and vent, but I was going to put it on my YouTube channel. I have a whole new channel. I don't have no subscribers. I started it months ago, but I just like, all right, I'm trying to, seem like with me, stuff have to just be a certain way. Sometimes things got to be perfect. It almost seemed like for me to do certain things, it seemed like a certain time, or it's not the right time. I don't know. And so I was going to put this video up, and I think I probably will put it up on there. And I got some other videos that I'm going to be doing, just explaining some of the changes that I've been experiencing. This wasn't really meant to be social or for me to give no information. This was just me trying to vent because I just really needed to vent and really just needed to say what I needed to say. But things are just not what it's saying. And every time I try to think, maybe I'm tripping, maybe I'm tripping, because the Bible said that in the last days, these things is going to happen. That's what the Bible said. It's last days. Tribulation period, all of this stuff about to start happening. Is that really the case? Or is that something that is it something that they said and that they're making happen? And yeah. So I'll be thinking like, maybe, just because of that one reason. But knowing that all of the things that I've been finding and researching and feeling and seeing and knowing says something completely different. So I can't even allow myself to go back down that path and that road because I'm not, I'm removed from that. And this is not a separate thing from when I was in church. The same voice that was speaking to me then is speaking to me now. Now, I don't hear that audible voice that one time, but the same voice that was speaking to me back then when I was in church is the same voice. In fact, one time I had smoked some weed, and I don't have to smoke, and I don't smoke that much now, and I actually quit, but sometimes I go back. So I don't have to be high to have an experience with God or to have an experience, because I've had many experiences. But one time I was high, and this probably was like 6 or 7 months ago, maybe 8 months ago. And it was like God stepped in the room. It was like he started speaking to me, not even in an audible voice, but my own voice. But that voice that you know is God. And he was telling me like, it was like he gave me, I don't want to say he, because it gave me an ultimatum, like to choose. It gave me an ultimatum to choose. And it told me, I'm not saying he no more, because it's not he or she. That's not God. He's not a man or a woman. But that voice said to me, he said, it's time. Time is winding down. The clock is winding down. And that voice said to me, in terms of me being a light and sharing, and because at this point I had been in a house for a while. I wasn't doing anything. I hadn't really I know I'm making plans. I know what I want to do, but I hadn't necessarily done nothing. I still really haven't done a lot. But it's like I have all this vision. I have all these things that Spirit has shown me, but I just haven't necessarily put everything into motion. Been making some steps and strides. But in terms of being a light, matter of fact, this was last June. This was a year ago. So I had went out to this event last year. And I was it was an outdoor event, and it was this guy, and I was talking to this guy, and I just started like, it's like, what do you do? Whatever, we was talking. And, I ended up kind of telling him some stuff, whatever I felt that Spirit was saying to me. I just let him know, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. And he was just like, wow, man, like, you don't understand. Like, you really helped me. I needed to, like, it was like, and I didn't talk to nobody but him that whole time we was there. And it was like, I left and I was like, well, damn, now I know what it means to really be on assignment, because that's what it felt like. I was just really just on assignment to tell him what I had to tell him. So that same day, I had came home, I had smoked some weed, and then I started getting into a conversation with myself. And it was basically telling myself that I ain't need to smoke because I ain't need to be high. and I hadn't smoked in a long time. But the conversation turned into like a God conversation, and God really stepped in the room, and it told me, the time is really winding down, and you're a light, and there's a lot of other lights out here that need to be lit, and there's only certain people that's going to be able to do it, because a lot of people were asleep. And I was given an ultimatum. And I was waiting for the moment where the conversation was going to lead to, like, because the way it sounded was like the time is winding down, like the rapture about to come, like, nigga, I'm about to come back, get it together. I was waiting for that, but that wasn't what it was. It was never a time where I felt like I was condemned. I never felt like choose ye this day type of thing. But it was an ultimatum, like yes or no. Are you going to be that light? Are you going to do this thing? Are you going to go out here? Are you going to do it? The time is now. And so I said yes. I gave that yes. But the whole point is, I would think that there would be a separation from that life, the Christian life, and now. But there's no separation. The same voice, the same path I was on back when I was in church is the same path I'm on now. It's the same voice. It's the same leading. It's the same guidance. So how could that be, right? So I know I'm not tripping. And at first I was like, well, maybe I'm being tricked. Maybe I'm being whatever. But it's not lining up. And it's the most loneliest experience ever to be on a path. Like we all on a path. We all on a spiritual journey. We all are. But to be intentionally, just to be in a certain space and not to, like when you're really growing spiritually, like it's a lonely place, bro. It's just a lonely place. And so, but I've always been a loner, so I'm fine with that, but this is getting a little bit overwhelming right now. And I know it's good that's happening. I know it's good that's coming from this. And this is just where I'm at. And I think that a lot of people, I think most of us will get that experience in this life or some other life. So yeah, I don't really have a conclusion, but it's just a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, but that's just it. I just wanted to get on here and let that out. I just wanted to share that. I'm not depressed. I don't need no pities. I don't need no, it's going to be all right. I don't need none of that because I already know it's all right. And I already know it's something that I found. I wish I could just share it right now, but I can't. I can't share it right now. I can't share that. But what I found, it was something that came to me. And it's a book. And the book, as I'm reading the book, yeah, it was like when you find this, when you come into this information, you know you're ready to receive it. You know what I mean? And it's so funny how you never get information, or you never go to the next level, or you never get a heightened understanding until you're ready to receive it. Because there's no reason why all of them years ago when I was in church that I didn't run into this information. I wasn't open to receiving it. I had a friend who was a Buddhist that I worked with. We was real close. This was back when I was in Baltimore. It was probably about 2015, 14, 15. And she told me she be chanting and stuff, and I wasn't judging her, but I was just like, in my mind, like, okay, you know, I was kind of concerned, actually. I was just like, I hope she not, you know, I hope she's okay, because I hope she's not, like, summoning demons and stuff like that, because, you know, when she chanting, you know, but I didn't know. I was just ignorant, and I'm not a Buddhist at all. I'm not a Buddhist, but there was certain information that was around, but I wasn't open to hearing anything else other than what I thought I knew. And one thing about it, because like in church, people be like, the pastors used to always be like, because I don't know about you, but Buddha, I don't serve Buddha, and I don't serve Muhammad, and I don't serve this and that, and I serve, and you know, it just always made me think, well, I'm not going to entertain nothing else, you know, because that ain't right. And anything else that ain't the Bible, if anything else ain't speaking about this, then there's no need for me to entertain it. And so a lot of it was fear, but I was devoted also. I was very devoted. And I didn't identify necessarily with the thought of, I'm going to serve God. I'm going to serve Jesus now, because I don't want to die later and discover that he's real. That's always sounded dumb to me. That always sounded dumb, because I just never felt like I don't have to, you know, like, what sense does that make? So I'm going to serve God just in case hell is real. So why is that the only reason I'm doing this? So if it wasn't no hell, I just would just, you know, do whatever. Like, that just never made sense to me. No, I served and I was devoted I was serious, bro. I was serious. I was about living holy. I was about crucifying my flesh. I was about all of that type of stuff. I mean, I literally, if you really want to know, I really felt tortured. For real. When I found out that I was gay, boy, when I got into church, I cut everything off. I didn't have sex. It was a struggle. I didn't even want to look at nobody in a lustful way. I struggled with that thing. I wrestled with that thing. I prayed and I told God I would never, ever accept that. I told myself, I told God, the God of the Bible, I would never accept that. Like, I hated myself. I hated that shit, for real. And I never was condemned. Like, God never condemned me. God never, when I look back, God ain't never condemned me. As much as God used to talk to me, God ain't never condemned me. But I would have all these dreams. I would have like wet dreams. And I mean, I'm a grown man, bro. Like, I would be fighting my flesh so hard, not having sex, not masturbating, not doing nothing. And I was really, but it was all in my mind. I know, but I was really, really devoted to that. But I wasn't ready for any other information. But then as time goes by, as you grow, you start to become ready for certain things. And once you become ready, it comes to you. I was driving Lyft. This is something I left out, and I think that this is key in some of my transition, because actually in 2019, I used to drive Lyft also. I had drove, and this was literally actually right before the pandemic hit. Actually, I was driving Lyft, and I picked up some girls, and she was a young lady, and I don't know how we got on the conversation, but it was evident to me that she was into, like, I believe she was more into like African spirituality or something like that. And we was in the car and we was talking. It was a real heavy conversation, but I was telling her, because my brother had just passed away the year before. I think that's what started the conversation, actually, because she said something and I was just telling her, yeah, my brother had just died. He had got killed in Baltimore by the police. And she was like, you ever talk to him? And I was just like, no. Like, because I didn't really believe in that, And she was like, you should talk to him sometime. And I was telling her how my sister passed away. And then 2020, the beginning of 2020, my grandmother died. That started off, she died on New Year's. So that was how my 2020 started off. But that was all, like, that was so much change, like, at the end of 2019, 2020. And so she was like, yeah, talking about my brother, you should make an altar for them and all of this stuff. And I'm like, what? Like, and she was telling me about, pouring libations. I never did it. I do have something less like an altar, but it's not an altar really. But it's just like a little, it's like a little, can you see hold on. This is like a little random thing. I got my sister obituary and my mother picture behind it because she deceased, and pretty much everybody in this family picture is gone except for my 2 sisters and my nephew. So that was kind of like my little altar, but she was saying, like, really make an altar, like, where you put things that they liked on there, or you talk to them and stuff. And I was like, okay. Well, I was a little more open to it, but I was like, okay. But it was such a heavy conversation, and she was saying certain things, like we was riding, we rode for a long time. I took her, it seemed like we was together for over an hour. Like, I was driving her multiple places, and she'll see something out the window and she'd be like, oh, that's such and such. Like, she was basically like, that's my that's my spirit. What's my spirit animal? Or she would say certain things. And I was like, okay. I wasn't judging her, but I was like, okay, it's a little different. But she prayed for me. And this was like a regular Christian prayer. It wasn't in the name of Jesus. It wasn't in the name of nothing, but she prayed, and it was very emotional. She was crying, and she was just like, like, you're just so special. And it's like, God is just, it's something that God want to do. And it's like, she was just saying all of this stuff. And I just was like, but I felt that, but I just was like, okay. And I don't know whether it's because I didn't judge her. I don't know whether it's because I didn't come off a certain way, and I was open to receiving what she had to say, even though I wasn't necessarily in agreement, because I just was open because I felt what she was saying, but I just didn't quite grasp what it was. And then it seems like leading up to then, because that wasn't the first thing that happened, but then that's when more information came. But there were changes leading up into that point. But it seemed like as I become more and more open to receive or to hear, or as I become more and more out of my own mind and my own self and lean into my own understanding, the more information is presented and the more I begin to understand. And I'm starting to understand more. But then there's just more questions, and you have more, nobody knows everything. We all know in part. Nobody knows everything about the truth. And there's a truth. It's a part of every truth that there's 2 sides to everything. Whether it's the truth or not, there's always 2 sides to the truth. And everything is 2-sided, everything. And that's what I've learned. But the more I just begin to just, okay, so the way information is coming and the way these knowings are coming, it's like I can feel myself getting to, it's like I'm going somewhere. It's like I'm going, something is happening, but I can't really explain it, bro. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. I'm going to do a video on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to go into detail about some of the things that I've discovered. And it's not just all religious or spiritual, because it's not about the church. It's not about Christianity. It's not about religion necessarily, but I'm talking about like the real deal. What's like what I realize is happening, but it's not really what most people don't know. Most of us do not know what's really going on. And it's from this earth to the governments, the systems, everything down to the food, everything down to the television, everything down. This shit is all. When some of y'all realize what's going on, when some of y'all realize how we've been lied to, how we're being lied to, when y'all realize a lot of this stuff that's happening, y'all gonna blow y'all socks. Because I'm losing it, bro. In a good way. It's not bad. I'm just, we human. I'm going through where everybody else go through that go. You know, like just imagine somebody telling you your mother was such and such, and then you get in your 30s and they tell you that ain't your mother. You will lose. You wouldn't know what to do. You will lose it. To go all your life believing that something is one way and it's something completely different. Yo, like it really can mess you up. And if you're not careful, some people lose their mind. I'm not losing my mind. You know, I'm going through the natural emotions of what it's supposed to be, rightfully so. But it's a lot. And you got to be ready. And I realize you're not going to get the information until you're ready. So this book had, the information that I found in this book. It was like, okay, yeah, once you get this, you know you're ready. So now it's like, okay, what's next? I don't know. At this point, I'm just talking, but I was having I couldn't pull it together earlier. I couldn't pull it together. I could not pull it together because it's just such a lonely place, man. It's such a lonely place. It's a lonely place, bro. And it's like I had a point in time where all I really wanted was to have people, like I was just hoping like, because I wanted to share. I'm one of those type of people. And I was like this when I was in church. When I was in church, I used to get on the bus and evangelize. I wanted people to know what it was that I found. You know, so when I first came into some of this knowledge, I wanted people to know and I wanted to express it. But you know, the Spirit will kind of really like stop you in your tracks. And now I understand that I cannot share. And that's why I'm not saying certain things I want to say, because I understand I can't share the thing. And what I really because you get stuff in pieces, you get stuff in part, you know, you get things in pieces. And then there's a resting period, not a resting period, but there's a period where it may seem like you don't really have nothing going on. You don't have nothing. But then when you're ready, some more information to come to you. You get some more knowings, and you get these things in part. You get them in pieces, and you don't always understand, and you get revelation in part. But it was a time I just was feeling like, man, I just want people to know. People need to know this, but I can't even share all of the shit now because I can't. It's not for everybody to have their hands on at this point. And when it's time for them to get it, they're going to get it. So now it's like, okay, cool. But it's hard when you feel like you're supposed to, because it's something in me that's always been that type of person. Like, I want to help people. I want to share with people. I want to impart what I have. You know, I always been that person. So that's just innately in me. So, but now I can't do what I want with this information, even though it's out there for everybody. It's all out there if you're just willing to just listen, if you're just willing, because everything they told us is a lie. It's not the truth. And I'm really battling with that shit. Like, it's really crazy. Like, it's really crazy, bro. And I don't feel bad for nobody. Like, but because we're all in the arms of God, bro. It's going to be all right. Like, it's not this gloom and doom thing. I mean, there's going to be some doom, definitely, but it's not even that, because this ain't even, this is a speck. We just a speck. If we just knew this earth, this experience right now, this is just, we're a little speck of dust in the whole big picture. Like, we be acting like this is all that there is. We living in this last moment. I just be looking like I'm gonna be 40 in July, and as I look at all of my friends that I went to high school with, and I look at, or people I went to high school with, and I look at different people, their kids growing up, and I look at the music industry, and I look at how time is going, the people we looked up to, the artists we looked up to, the people, they getting older, and you realize, and you look at it, this is all a timeline that is going to be over. In the next 20, 30, 40 years, you're going to have we all going to be, most of us won't be here, but the ones that are, we going to be old. It'll be a whole new world. A whole new set of stuff. But if you think that's something, it was ancient civilizations. It was other civilizations, other worlds, other civilizations, not like, forget just on this earth, but on other planets. Whole civilizations like this earth that are ancient. We don't even think about that. I never thought about it. Like, it's like ancient civilizations where they did all the same shit in the same place where we at, doing the same stuff. But then on other planets, all these other planets, we think that this is all it is, Earth. Like, but it's such a bigger thing. And just to see the magnitude of greatness of the Creator and all of this and everything that's happening, it's like, wow. Wow. And then sometimes it's like, well, damn, like, well, where do I fit in all of this? Like, and that's what I struggle with now, because it's like, in some ways, because when you got people, when it seems like everybody don't want to really hear the truth, so then when you know the truth and you want to, it's like, how do you fit in a world where people don't really, it ain't even about knowing the truth. It's not about people believing what you believe. It's not even that, but it's just when you get to the point where you know that that is just, it's like when you get to the point where you know that this is not it, but you can't really, it's like you care so much, but you can't save nobody. You know, you can't help nobody. You can't help nobody. And now I'm realizing you can't help anybody. You can't, you can be available. You can be available, and you can be that light, and you can share, and you can light the lamps, like, what that voice was telling me last year, you can do that, but you can't have a desire so strong and be so attached to helping people, because everybody has to get it in their time, because there's a universal law. There's a universal way of how things are going right now. And only, and that's why the Bible, because there's a lot in the Bible that is true. So much in the Bible that's true. But guess what? I've realized, I found out that a lot of the truths in the Bible, they all came from ancient texts. Thousands of years before the Bible. Thousands and thousands of years. Some of the same exact stories. Some of the same stuff. So, like, I don't know, bro. Like, but I ain't trying to even go into that. It's just, everybody got to get that on their own. The universal law of not the universe. Because now, I used to say God was the universe, but I actually been corrected, because God is not the universe. Didn't know that. In fact, there are like universes upon universes upon universes upon universes. So many universes, so many planets, like this is a whole, and it works so perfectly. Everything is so perfect. Like, God is so perfect. God is so amazing. Like, all of this stuff is, there's a universal system. There's a universal happening that's happening. And we are part of that. Like, we're a part of that. We're in the mind of God, if you will. We're a part of that. We're in God, and God is in us. And so it's like, it's a lot. It's really great. But there's evil. So much evil out here. And the powers that be. I used to, when I first had my little spiritual awakening, I was all in my little la-di-da land. I was thinking, it's not about good and bad. It's not about good and evil. Oh no, it's not light and dark. But then now I understand that it is evil, because there is an agenda. There's an agenda. There's a darkness. There's a darkness here that don't want us to understand the truth. They don't want us to know the truth. And it's like, when I look at my friends and I look at certain people I care about and I look at certain things, and I just be like, I wish that they just knew. Like, we just been lied to. We just been lied to, bro. And the people that had, some of the people that got it the worst is black people. Like, I was in a Lyft the day before yesterday, and I was talking to this guy. He was like I don't know what he was. He might have been, I don't know what he was, but he wasn't American. But he had lived, I feel like he said he lived, I forgot where he said he lived, where he was from. But we was talking about how expensive things are, and we was talking, because I had to pay my rent, and I had to get a money order, because I had to get a money order. And so he was like, it's terrible that you still got to do that. People, he was saying something about money orders, and then we started talking about the world systems and all of that type of stuff. And he was like, man, and it's so sad, because he was like, black people, he was like, I'm keeping my citizenship to my country, because I was like, do you like it better here or there? He was like, I like it here, but I may have to go back to my country, because this is just, he was like, and it's sad because, and I was like, well, dang, I was like, imagine being black. We can't go back to Africa, because we don't fit in there and we don't fit in here. And so he was like, yeah, and it's crazy. He was like, and he look around and he see how messed up some of our community is. A lot of our communities are, and that's not everybody, but just, how we are as a people, and how we endured so much, and we endure so much. But he was saying that, like, Africa, he'd been to Africa, and he was just saying how Africa is like, what we know, it's the motherland. It's so strong. He was like, it's so strong, it's so powerful. And if everybody just knew how strong, like black people, if we knew how strong we really are, how strong our roots are, and how strong, he was like, man, and this is somebody from another race, and he was like, it's just crazy, but it's the truth. And we have it the worst in this country. But it's all a part of an agenda, and it's not a black and white thing. It's not. But sadly, everything we've been told, y'all, is a lie. It's a lie. Well, I won't say it's all a lie. It's a part truth. But it's definitely an agenda. And this goes way back. Way back. I mean, we talk about it on a scale for to slavery, how they use slavery. But African spirituality, which I'm not into, but people don't even know a lot of the stuff they see in church right now came from Africa. So they came over there and they took out religion. They took out religion. And what we did was we put L spin on it. We took, because we didn't have a choice but to, because they was going to kill us. They was going to kill us. They was going to beat us. They was going to do whatever. So we had to do it. And you can always indoctrinate people. The first generation of people, they're going to give you a hard time. It's going to be a lot of death, which it was. They're going to, until you You got to train up your children that this is the religion right here. This is it. And then that next generation, they gonna give some rebellion. But by that third, fourth generation, oh, they falling in line. By the time you get to about the fifth, sixth generation, oh, they doing that shit like it's clockwork. And now it becomes a part of you. So you think of all of these generations upon generations and all the things our ancestors endured. And, you know, all of this trauma, all of this stuff. And now all we know is the lie. All we know is the lie. And we don't recognize the truth. We don't even recognize the truth. And it's not that there's not any truth to the lie, because there are always two sides to every story, even the truth, which I'm now learning, because everything is two-sided. But it's like, bro, like, that hurts, because it's like, how do you can't tell people what's true. You know, you can't say the truth, because people rather hear a lie more than the truth. People want to hear the lie. And then now with social media, which is such a great thing, is a blessing and a curse, really, if you ask me. But it's so much distraction. And that was one thing that God had said when I was high that time last year. And that was how the conversation started, because Spirit was saying, it's not that you can't smoke. It's not that I don't want you to do these things. It's not that it's bad. It's just a distraction. It's just a distraction. And so there's nothing wrong with certain things, but some things are just a distraction. And as we look around, it's just distraction everywhere. Distraction on social media, it's TV. Everything's a distraction. It's not everything, but it's more distraction. So with all the distraction, and then we already programmed from the time we are in the womb in our formative years to about 6 or 7. Those are the most important times. And we are like, it's a program. This is all a program, if you will. And we are programmed. The same way, I have a dog that I just got. I got a dog. Her name is Macy. Some of y'all seen her. She's the cutest thing, sweetest thing ever. I only had her for about 2 months, a little over 2 months. And I've been training her. When she came with me, she was very much so not like people oriented. You know, she would be scared of people all the time. And she's supposed to be 14, but she's 2 years in human years. I'm like, you know, but you wouldn't think she would be like that, you know. And certain things about her, you know, that you could tell she just didn't have a good home, which not a good home, but she just wasn't, it wasn't, you know, whatever. So now I have trained her, I pretty much, in 2 months. I mean, we bond, and I've learned how to train them and how you bond with them, but I've trained her. And to see her do certain things now like clockwork, and just in 2 months, be like, damn. But we not no different from them. Because we get trained too. And we get programmed, and it's all a program. And we are programmed. Until we decide that we want to break out of the program. Until we decide that we want to go against the grain. But it's more people that is, like, it's one thing to be in a program and don't know you in the program, you know. And when you know you in the program, it's like when you know better, you do better, you know. But a lot of people don't even know. And then to be in the program and can't nobody tell you the sky is blue, because they've been telling you it's green all the time. So now I'm trying to tell you the sky blue, and you looking at me like, no, it's not. Can you imagine what our ancestors was thinking? Knowing the truth, but then generations later, you got from the same bloodline, these people, like, they can't recognize it. The very thing that our ancestors knew, we can't even recognize it now. We call it We call it witchcraft. We call it all of these different things. But man, it's crazy. I was watching something today. They talking about programs that they have in these what you call them? These programs that they have is basically like where they be abducting people and shit. Where they be taking people and they be like planting, you know, it's so much stuff going on that I didn't even know. You know, they can like transfer consciousness into people. Like that's technology now. Like I didn't know that you can literally transfer your consciousness into another body, that's how they're making clones and shit. Your consciousness. This is not this is like, you know, consciousness is less like consciousness is like your soul, basically. That's what we call our soul. You can transfer your soul, your consciousness into another body. And they doing this shit. And thousands of people, they erase your mind and they don't even be knowing that they are part of these programs. And so they have these time travel where people be traveling. So much stuff that I've learned and people talking about this stuff. There's people out here who are really battling and dealing with this stuff. I was watching this guy. He's really broken because since he was a kid, he's been being taken to other places and programmed and stuff. It sounds crazy. The stuff that's happening, put it like this. The shit that's happening, you would think it was a movie. But guess what? All of the shit that's happening the movies got it from what's happening now. So people talk about the Matrix and all of that shit. This is the movie. Like this is the movie. And that's what's really messing my mind up. Like this is the movie. That shit we saying, the stuff they putting in TV ain't fake. It's really real. But in my mind, I was like thinking like, nah, that's make-believe type stuff. Ain't no way that can happen. But as I've been studying and discovering, they've been transferring consciousness into different bodies and different things like that since ancient times and civilizations. But that's a whole nother thing. It's so much crazy stuff. And we seen it play out right before our eyes. And I just feel I have so many mixed emotions because it's so many levels. You know, it's so many levels. And it's just be hard sometimes to like really So yeah. I don't know. I just hope that people, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even really have nothing else to say. I got all my words out. It's a lot. It is a lot. I ain't even looking at the comments because I really ain't want to hear what nobody had to say. Because what I don't want to hear is people saying it's going to be all right. And I already know that. And I know. And then another part is like, I don't really like being vulnerable on camera. I don't like to really get on live and share my feelings and talk and stuff because I have a thing in my mind. And I've always been this way. I always like to be the likable person. You know, I just want to be the person that relates to everybody and this and that. And that's just not realistic. You know, I had to remove a lot of people off my friends list because some of the things they be saying and in a lot of ways people think, they not ready to hear nothing and don't want to see nothing. And quite frankly, I don't care, and I don't want to really see the stuff that they be saying either. And the thing about the church that gets me, and the thing about a lot of, and I'm not trying to offend anybody because, you know, listen, I lived that life, so I understand, but I don't understand how, like, people can say what they want to say and people can post about what they want to post about and they can throw stuff in your face. But then as soon as you want to share something, it's the devil. And it's that. And you don't even know that the shit that you saying. It just boggles my mind sometimes. So I just be real hesitant to want to say stuff. But that's why I built my channel. And I have this new channel, and I'm really going to be sharing a lot of stuff on my channel. And I just need to find a community that I can really relate to, because, and I will find the community that I'm supposed to relate to, and just a safe space. That's what it is. It's just, you want to have a safe space, you know, because I don't need social media. I'm not really a social media person like that anyway. And I never was before I started doing my music. That's what made me a social media person. But now it's like, since I be in the house and stuff, it just be like, I be wanting an outlet and stuff like that. And people don't need to know what because they'll figure it out on their own. But I don't know, y'all. It's time for us to just kind of wake up for real. So much going on. So much happening. Oh, look, I see y'all comments. I'm sorry. I'm going to read some of these. I don't know. It's a lot. And I know that I know, bro, I'm telling you, like, I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy. I was devoted, bro. I was devoted to that. I was devoted to that lie. I was devoted, bro. I was so devoted. And that's how I know I'm not crazy. And a lot of people, and it's not about church or Christianity, because really religion in general, but it just so happens that that sector of religion is just that's a really strong thing that they have used, not just for black people, bro, but just for everybody. But white people, they don't be going up. They do not be going up like we be going up. Why do you think that is? Because a lot of them know the truth. And in fact, a lot of the pastors and preachers in these churches, especially the mega ones and the big ones, they know the truth. But guess what? They making money. They getting that dollar. So they're not going to tell you the truth. They're not going to tell you. A lot of people know the truth that's in power and higher position, but they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell me. I had to learn that shit for myself, and I thank God so much. I'm so thankful that, as hard as this is, because it's just a process. It's a lot to process, bro. It's so much. And it sounds morbid. It sounds so morbid, and it sounds so blah, 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 blah. And people don't want to really hear that, because it's like, but it is what it is. It is what it is, And I'm glad that I discovered this truth, because I know that I'm elevating. I'm elevating to another level, but it's like, it happens in baby steps, and it happens, and, but I'm glad I know, because, man, just imagine, like, going through your whole life, bro, and somebody telling you your name is something, and it's just not your name. That's not who you are. That's not what it is. Like my mind it's crazy. It's really crazy. It's really crazy. And I'm sitting around here. I can't do nothing else. Like, I can't do nothing. I can't do anything. I can't even watch TV no more. Like, I was trying to get my mind off of stuff. And that's why I was smoking and stuff sometimes. And I'd be just trying to indulge. I'd smoke my little weed, try to find something funny or something, because I was trying to just kind of take my mind off of some of the things I was discovering. And I just needed a break. And then on top of, like, writing down stuff, and, it's just be a lot. I'm like, I just have to get away from that. But I've gotten to a point now, I can't watch TV. And I can be on social media a little bit until I start saying crazy shit. But, like, it's like every distraction is like, every time I try to be distracted, I can't even be distracted. It's like, so now it's like, what to do? It's like, it's nothing to do now but just soak up information and learn and get knowledge. And that's the other part. I can't really share a lot until I really have a full understanding, but then you don't really ever get the full understanding. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a lot. I know I keep saying that, but at this point I'm just talking. But y'all hang in there. And I just want to, like, if you in here, man, I'm just saying, I wish that I wasn't so closed-minded, You know what I mean? Like before. And then I got to thinking, what if I was born to another family? And I asked one of my friends this the other day. I was like, how do you think you would be if you was born to another family? Some of the things we hold so close, we hold on so tight to, and we like religion and a lot of our beliefs is like really like a cultural thing if you really think about it. And you get to thinking like, well, what if I had different parents? What would I believe? And that's what messed me up, because going back to bring it all the way back home, that's what really messed me up. Because like I told y'all, when I was 8 years old, my mother said something to me about being gay and about God and it being a sin. That was the very first thing that was ever said to me that made me even think about God or question God in that way. Before I even thought about God or questioned God, I had an understanding of what this life was. Go figure. I had an understanding before I was 6 years old what this life was about, before I ever questioned or thought about who God was. But as soon as she said that, something went off in my mind, because guess what? Another thing that a lot of people don't know, there's something that's been implanted in us that's called a worship gene. And look it up. Let's look it up. It's a worship gene that's been installed in our DNA. And so we have this worship gene, and that is the thing that causes you to want to worship a deity. It's called a worship gene that they literally put in us when our form of species was made, because there are different species. We are Homo sapiens, but there are different, and has been different species that are human-like in ancient civilizations in other worlds, but our species was created. But I don't want to get into all that. But that's a whole nother thing, because they was breeding people like they breed animals, like they breed dogs. So when they talk about Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden, what Eden really was actually, I really don't even want to get into this right now. That wasn't even the point. I was just trying to vent. So, bruh. Yeah. But if you desire to seek the truth and you find that truth, then you can actually counteract everything that's been done. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I had to change my diet, because my diet, I couldn't even like eat the stuff I was eating. Is in the food, it's poison, is in everything. You know, I couldn't even, and I struggle still sometimes. You know, I had become a vegan over the last week or two. I done had some chicken, because I just, my flesh just wanted that. You know, there's nothing wrong with whatever you choose to eat or whatever, but it's certain, I've been trying to eat more clean, and for the last couple of years, I had more of a clean diet and more of a plant-based diet, but I know what's in the food. I know what's in the food. The same thing that they poison the food. The same that they use to poison the food. I mean, the same motive that they have for the food, because it's all about money, but it's also about power. It's about control. So they poison your body with the food. They want to poison your mind with the television and even the music. But what people don't know about the music is, listen, they want to poison every area of your life. Every area of your life. And it all starts from the time you're a child. Because if they can get you in those formative years, if your parents and stuff already fucked up, I'm sorry, excuse my language, if they already jacked up, and God knows mine was, and if your upbringing messed up, they got you. Unless you able to really break out of that, unless you're really ready to break that cycle and seek knowledge and not go along with the program. Because what if I was, like I said, what if I was born in India? What if I was born to a Muslim culture? I had a friend that I worked with. She was from Indonesia. She was a Muslim by culture. You know, and you have different peoples and different religions that may convert to another religion or something like that. But a lot of things that we do is associated with our culture and is associated with how we were brought up in the program that we have been given. This whole world, this whole universe is in a sense a program. Some people call it a matrix. Some people call it a hologram. Some people call it a game. But it's really it's like a game. It's a matrix. It's all a program, and we're all on a program. It's a system. It's all a system. And now I understand what all these people used to say, like people like Lauryn Hill, people like Michael Jackson, and different superstars and different people who talk about breaking out of the system. Now I actually get it. Now I don't think I understand everything, but I get what they're saying. Now it makes sense. And then when you get to a point, like, you don't just go along with the get along, if I could just not have to do the work thing and the 9-to-5 thing, and that's really my goal. That's really what I want to do, is just be able to go out here and just, help people, but, be able to make a living out of doing that, because this 9-to-5 thing is not working. It's a program. Is nothing but a program. And I work 10 hours a day. I work from home. I work 10 hours out of the day. And I just got to thinking the other day, it's 24 hours in a day. Shit, I work 10 hours and I got to sleep for 8 hours. So it was like, damn. So when do I have time to, thank God I don't have no kids or nothing. I feel bad sometimes for the people who do got kids, It's like, when do you get to? And then I be talking to people on the phone who be so unhappy all the time. And you wonder why people so unhappy and people so miserable and people just so upset and people so depressed and all of this type of stuff. People can barely even stand their kids. People don't even have time for their kids because they in a system. We stuck in a system. We stuck in a freaking system. And until we can get out of it, and then it don't make it any better when you got these limiting beliefs that are fear-based. So you thinking that if you question something and you try to seek out the truth, you're going to go to hell. And they going to... Man, this shit's crazy. It's really unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. When we get so comfortable and we're so comfortable with being in this system. So comfortable, and it's not comfortable. It's the most uncomfortable, unnatural thing, to be out of your element. And we're really out of our element here, we're really out of our element, until you really tap in to get back. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get back to where I was, or where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to do. And to think that if I spent my whole life, half of my life, being devoted to a system that being devoted to a system that I didn't get nothing from. The only thing I got from it was, you're going to hell. You sinning. Don't do this. Give me your money. Whole damn time, I'm broke. I've been broke. But that's the system. And the only thing that I have to look forward to is heaven. I didn't never understand when people used to say, look to heaven, look for heaven later. What they say? They get to live their heaven now. And you got to wait for heaven when you die. That's what I heard people say. And I didn't never understand that. And if you ask me, I would say, shoot, heaven, I'd rather have heaven later than hell, and have heaven now. I'd rather wait. That's what I used to say. Until you learn that it ain't really no heaven. There are heavenly places, other dimensions, heavenly realms, but it ain't the type of heaven that we think. It ain't that type of heaven. It's not that type of heaven. But that was what I thought. And so I will sacrifice everything that I have every Sunday, every day of the week, giving all of my time, giving all of my money, giving my talent. You know, I used to sing in churches, and I used to sing at church and sing at these concerts and stuff back in the day. And it's so great to do because, you know, it's healing. It is good in that. I believe it is. You know, there's always two sides to everything. I really believe that. But I used to do that, and them people used to just sit there and look at me, and because I really wasn't that good back then. And I wasn't good. So of course they was gonna look at me crazy. But I used to just feel so empty because I wasn't trying to necessarily be an artist at that time. I started out doing it because I just love God. Like, I had a gift. I like the arts. I like music, and I had something to offer. I just wanted to do it. You know what I mean? But then when I learned what it was to be an artist, and I started seeing what it meant to be able to have a look and to sing and to put out music, to be able to sing and do all that, then I kind of gradually started trying to do more. But even when I started learning what it was to be an artist, somebody had asked me one day when I was working at Mercy, they was like, would you ever do R&B or anything? And I told them, I was like, because I had put out my first single, Lord I Yield. That was in 2011. And I had my little CDs, giving them out at the job. And I forgot who asked me that. Somebody asked me that. And he was like, one of the doctors, he was like, would you ever consider doing R&B or anything? And I was like, nah. I was like, I would never do R&B. I was like, because, I like music, but I'm more tied to the message. I'm more tied to the ministry. I was tied to the passion. So it was never about none of that. But, I was so passionate about it, but I just felt like I got so little out of it. I gave so much. I sacrificed so much. I remember I used to drive. I went like on a praise and worship tour, and I would drive out of state. I had a little Ford Fusion, blue car. I would drive to South Carolina. I would drive Delaware. I would drive to New Jersey, pretty much New Jersey, Philly, Delaware, and then we did something in South Carolina, and even other places. But I would spend I didn't have a lot of money. I wasn't even making like $15 an hour. But I would spend my money to go and do these praise and worship tours. Wasn't getting paid. I didn't get paid nothing. But I was going because they was like, well, you'll get some exposure, at the least. But in addition to that, I knew it was going to pay off because I was doing what God wanted me to do. That was ministry. So it was going to be fine. But I would come back in town about 2, 3 in the morning. I'd be out there hacking. This is when I was in Baltimore. They got hacks where you can be hacked. And my brother had a sedan company, so I'd be driving a sedan for him. I'd be hacking. I had to make all the money back that I spent, all the tolls and food and everything that I had to do. And I would go out there and perform at these different places. And man, them people, they didn't appreciate that. Not the people in the congregation, but the people who bought me, or the people who empowered the guy who did the tour, who was doing the tour. I don't know if they was paying him, but them people they ain't care. It was just about putting bodies in there and getting that offering and getting that money and keeping the people entertained. That's what it was about, And I got so little out of it. I felt like crap. Looking back, I felt like crap. And then when I first started, them people, the same people who say, if you're doing R&B, if you're doing rap, they'll be saying you need to be using your gifts for Jesus. But them same people who would say that, those were the very ones who sat there and folded their arms when I was up there singing. They folded their arms and just looked at me because I wasn't that good, and because I couldn't take them into worship, and I wasn't never churchy or nothing like that. I was always different. So and then you be serving on these ministries, and you be serving and doing all of this stuff, and it's like, and you really struggling. And then a lot of them people just broken, but you just devoted, and that's how I was. So it's a system. Same thing with the work. You spend 8 to 10 hours working every day. Some people work 12 hours a day. And you working and you working and you working. And all you got to look forward to is retiring when you 60-something years old. By then, shit, you damn near dead. You got a good number 20, maybe 30 years if you're lucky. And if you're really lucky, maybe about 40, 50 years. But at that point, same type of concept to me. Wait till heaven come. Wait for heaven. Or wait for retirement to be happy. You get some time to spend with your family. Get some time to enjoy life. Figure out who you really are. And not who they created you to be through their programming and television. You don't really get to do that. It's the same system. Same system. Same system. Same system. Man. And so I don't know what that's looking like for everybody, but I know I'm tired of it, you know. And I didn't even know I was tired of it until I started realizing that there was some truth to what I thought might have been a lie. But they'll tell you the truth is a lie and the lie is the truth. Because you're not supposed to know the truth. And it's not a black and white thing. A lot of people messed up. They thinking it's a black and white thing. Even though we did have the brunt of a lot of the things that, you know, the black people, we do experience the brunt of the bull. But that's not the big picture. It's not the big picture. So anyway, yeah, man, I'm just ready to, I'm ready to be free. I'm ready to be free, and I'm getting free. I'm getting free, and it's up to everybody out there to get free. It's just a really hard, it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow, and it's not even something that's you can't get free through rioting. You can't get free through protesting. You can't get free by all of us banding together, because just like the Bible said, which they have a lot of things correct, this is not a battle of flesh and blood. This is a spiritual war. But they'll tell you certain truths like that, and then they'll go ahead and like throw something else in there. It's called a half truth. But it's the truth. It's not a flesh and blood. It's a spiritual war. So, yeah, I'm just babbling. I'd be doing this if wasn't nobody in here, because I just really needed to vent, because I was just so overwhelmed today. I was so overwhelmed. It's a lot. But I know it's a part of the journey and the process. But I hope that some of y'all check in with me, or that I can be in contact if I'm still here, because I don't know if I'll be here by the time some people come into their awakening or they start to wake up. But if I'm here, check in with me and let me know how you feel about it, because, baby, there's a lot. Well, let me look at the comments and see what y'all are saying. Hey, Vanna, I miss you too. You probably not in here no more, but you was actually always one of the, I like your energy. You always had great energy. Hey, cousin, how you doing? Yes, that pay cut definitely was worth the piece. But shoot, it ain't no different now, because, listen, I work with customers. I do customer service. And I talk to customers on the phone all day. And they, listen, Vanna, or who was that? Squeak, who said that piece, listen, what happened was I started working on myself, and I started learning how to love unconditionally, and learning that I have to be proactive and not be reactive and all of that type of stuff. And it was like, soon as I learned that and I made peace with my situation, I got released from it. Now, the friend who put me onto the job that I have had been telling me about this job for like 2 years before that, and never but soon as I made peace with that situation, I was released from it, and I adhered to that opportunity, and it worked out. But doing those affirmations and just kind of working on myself, I wouldn't be able to do this job. I would not be able to do this job. I'd be cussing them people out. I would have hung up. And it was rough. I used to cry every morning before I had to go to work because I like people, but I don't like talking in front of people a lot. And I'm kind of an introvert and an empath in a lot of ways. And sometimes it was hard for me because and especially that time because because I was my senses, because I was like really getting into the spiritual, like really like it was heightened. So the stuff that them people were saying to me on the phone, the way they was acting, I was feeling all of it all the time. And I wasn't reacting negatively because I had started to become, more like who I'm supposed to be. But it was so hard. I used to cry every morning. I would get in the shower. I get out of bed, get in the shower, and I would be crying because I did not want to talk to them people all day on the phone. I work for Apple, and they is, oof. But now it's, it ain't nothing. I had to, I'm in control. I understand, and people just got a lot going on. But it was hard back then. But that peace didn't come from no job. Like I said, peace. The peace came from within. Not. It don't matter where you work. If you got peace, you got peace wherever you at. But yeah. But the spiritual. I'm trying to read. I wasn't reading none of the comments because I wasn't seeing them. The spiritual journey is at times like our own physical journey. We go through stages of growth, changes, and learning ourselves. You keep growing and nourishing your spiritual shit. It's like I don't really have a choice to. I mean, I have a choice, but y'all, I'm telling you, like, once you know something, you can't unknow it. You know what I mean? You can't unknow it. And it's like now, it's like once you done seen something, you can't unsee it. You be like, damn, I wish I could have unseen that one. But I can't unsee it. I mean, I'm telling you, I was in a depression. I did have a period through this time that I was feeling kind of depressed, to be honest. And I thought, and that's what I was like, well, maybe I just need to just take a break and just, I just need to walk away from everything I think I know right now. But you can't unknow what you know. And it's like, and I have played it over and over again in my mind. I have found myself just crying and just praying and just asking God, like, to just show me, just to tell me, like, because it's like, but I can't unknow what I know. And that's not how God operates, and I think that God will give you revelation when it's time, but it's not out of a sense of desperation or a sense of urgency that we have, that Spirit will decide that He wants to, or that it wants to reveal something to you or speak or show you or give you something. So it's not, we can be as desperate as we want to be, or you can cry out as much as you think you can cry out. But until you're ready to get that truth and that understanding, you ain't going to get it. But I used to just be asking for that direction because I was so taken aback. I was more taken aback now, but I have more understanding now than I had then. So it's like, there's just so much, bro. Like, but you can't unknow it. And then when you see, like, man, y'all got to do that research. You got to do the research. And I be struggling sometimes because it'd be like, damn, like, it's always a source to everything. And I'll be questioning sources. But then I wonder, why didn't I question the source so much when I was in church? Why didn't I question the source? Because all I ever looked at was the Bible. And I was like, that's all I ever questioned. And then I look for a feeling or some type of a, well, don't get me wrong, because I told y'all, I know God's voice. And I think we all, a lot of us do. And it don't matter if you're in church or whatever, because spirit is spirit. And that spirit going to speak regardless when it's time. But I don't know. You just can't unknow the stuff you think. You just can't unknow it. Like, I wish I could sometimes, but I don't, because I don't want to be blind. I don't want to be asleep. I don't want to be, and that's the hard part, because it's like it's comfortable being asleep. It's comfortable being in a program. It's comfortable being on a regimen. It's comfortable. You do the same thing every day. Get up, go to work, come home. You on a program. You on a schedule. Everything. Like, it's comfortable doing that, even if we don't like it sometimes, and it's, we're not getting the most out of it, but we still comfortable. And one thing about us as black people, a lot of us, we be okay with being comfortable, including me, so, but I just can't be comfortable. I can't be comfortable like that. And I was really, and I don't operate from a place of fear no more, because the very last thing that I would have to hold on to, if it wasn't for the devotion or being devoted to what I believed, because like I said, it wasn't so much fear that kept me devoted. I will say it was blind faith, but it wasn't so much fear. But the very last thing would have been fear, because if you would have told me 5 or 10 years ago that I would be where I'm at now, believing the stuff I believe, I would not believe. You couldn't tell me. You could not tell me, and I would be terrified, because I'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to hell. I would really feel like that. I would be terrified. But now it's like, no. Like, hell is really only it is a form of hell in another dimension or another realm, but it's not what they told us it was. But that's a whole nother thing. But hell in itself is really mental. It's really a mind thing. And if you die, and at a place when you die, and is a place in the spirit realm called the void. And so people go to like this place called a void. So when you die and you not, it's sad. Let's put it like that. When you die and you go, and you're not in a place of peace, and you're in a place of attachment to this realm and to this earth, you're not ready to die, you're not ready to leave your loved ones, you got stuff, you just in a place of confusion and all of this type of stuff, then you can't go anywhere else. You can't go to a realm that is like heaven, or you can't go to the place where you're supposed to actually regroup and get yourself together and get ready to go into your next assignment or your next place to grow and evolve or whatever. So then you go to the void. I mean, if you think in your mind that is a place where you're going to go, then that's where you'll be until you decide that till you wake up and you say, okay, this is not it. And then you can go into the next thing. And if you can you can look up the information. You can listen to people who had like near-death experiences. And actually, I got a friend, Natalie. She's not in here. We was just talking. She don't believe a lot of the stuff I believe, but she has a certain understanding. But years ago, she had died. She had a near-death experience, and she told me, and we talked recently, a couple weeks ago, and we was talking about this, and she was like, and I said the void, and I was like, because she was like, when I died, she was like, I didn't see anything. It was like I was just dead, but it was like I was in darkness. And she described the exact thing I'm saying. She's like, yeah, it was like a void. It was like I was just waiting. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't anything. I was just sitting, like my soul was just waiting. And then she ended up coming back or whatever. They revived her and told her she had died. I forgot how long she was dead. But I watched a lot of near-death experience. Like, I haven't watched them in a couple years, but like, some of the stuff I was watching, not most of the stuff, but some of the stuff I was watching, I would watch like near-death experiences people had and stuff like that. A lot of people were saying the same thing, like people who, they, regardless of their religion, their background, their ethnicity or whatever, they was talking about like, what happened when they died. And, a lot of them people, they had near-death experiences and came back. Some people died on the operating room table, and they was hovering over themselves, and they would see their family members crying, or they would see whatever, and they was able to tell them what they saw. But a lot of them people, they saw that bright light, and they went to other dimensions, and they went to, the other, because this is a dimension, this is one plane, the earth plane, or what some may call like 3D or three-dimensional. But when they went into those other dimensions, they saw other things or whatever. And all of their experiences were very similar, if not the same. And then, some people come back and their life just not the same and they have a different understanding. But she was talking about that void. She didn't call it that, but once we was talking, she was like, yeah, it was like, but that's what it is. So what you believe when you die is what you're going to see. If you believe in Jesus, when you die, that's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to see. If you're going to see your parents, if you believe in Buddha, whoever that's what you're going to see. Because that's what's going to be telling you to come into the light. That's what's going to be telling you to come. Because when they say when we die, you be confused. You be kind of like, what's happening? You don't know what's happening. We're in this body, but our soul our soul goes on and on and on. Like, that's what, that spark of life, that spark of energy. So you still have an awareness, it's consciousness. You're conscious at death. There's no difference. And they say that that's more real than this. This is the movie or the show. Like, that's the real. This is the play. This is the stage play. So they be like, you be confused. And so you got something, you might see your parents, you might see whoever, and you see your loved one, you're going to see whatever is going to make you feel comfortable or is going to make you transition to the light and get to that other dimension. But if you're thinking that, oh, I'm going to hell and this and that, then you're going to experience that until you're able to, and they say people experience that for a period, and then after they've realized after being there for a minute that is here, they go to where they're supposed to go to. It's just you in the void. So I don't really subscribe to that. And I have my reasons, and there's a lot of proof out here, and it's scientific proof. There's a lot of different things, and I don't think science is everything. But there's a lot of stuff that go hand in hand, and I really didn't want to get into none of that because I'm going to do some videos on all the stuff I learned. I don't want to just be blurting stuff out right now because I know that some of y'all don't agree with it. And y'all need proof, but go do the research about stuff. And not even that, but just the simple shit, like the simple stuff. Like, just do some research, bro. I wish that I would have did it years ago. I wasted so much time. But at the same time, it was good. Anyway, it was good because it actually was supposed to happen, and it brought me to where I'm at now. So anyway, yeah, I feel a little bit better, but y'all who like the church folk do say, if you know the word for prayer, just go ahead and pray for me. You don't gotta pray in no name. You can do whatever you want to do. Just say it. Just say something pleasant. I'll just say that because it's not easy. And I know that it's gonna work out. I know that things are gonna be okay, and that I'll have a better understanding. And we know in part, and we see in part, but I know I ain't crazy. Nope. And I've been doing the research, and it's all adding up. So I'm just waiting to see what's next. But yeah. Well, I gotta take my dog out for a walk. I got her in the cage because I took her out earlier, and she didn't go to the bathroom. She didn't wanna do her thing, and then it started raining, so I had to put her in the cage because she trained, but she done peed and pooped on my floor a couple times. So I know she probably like, come get me out of here. But I should go get her so y'all can see her. Y'all want to see her? Hold on, I'm gonna go get her. So cute. You like, where you was at? I thought you had to use the bathroom. I guess you don't, huh? Look. Say hi. I love you too. I love her. Her name Macy. Say hi, Macy. I remember when I first got her, I had I had put her, I was laying on this couch and I had like put her on my chest and she was just hopping around. I was like, calm down. Like she didn't even know how to be on my chest. That's how she acting now. But she just happy to see me because I've been on here for a minute. Say hi, Macy. She be so unbothered by the camera, usually. You want to go outside? You want to go outside? It's actually almost time for you to eat. I'm about to give you some food in a second. Say hi. And she's a beautiful dog. I was in here going through it earlier, y'all. I was so sad. I was crying and shit. And dog, she was licking me. She could tell I was going through something. She really be helping me get through. It's my little baby. Okay. My little baby. I love you. Why are you so hyped like you ain't seen me all day? You wanna go outside? You wanna go outside? Oh, that means yeah. Okay. I'm gonna take you outside in a second. You not gonna say hi to the people? You not gonna look in the camera? Y'all, she be unfazed by the camera. I be trying to get her to look at animals and dogs and stuff. She do not be. She kind of sniffing. That's all she do, be sniffing everything. All day. This is one of the best things. And it's so funny because I've been wanting a dog for a couple years, pretty much since I've been in the house and stuff. I know, thank you. She really is. And she really listens too. Like I had to train her. Like she's so smart. She is a Chihuahua, so they real smart. She is so smart. I mean, unbelievable. I can't believe how she retains stuff, and she's so smart. But you wanna go outside? You start licking me in my mouth. That's all she. Oh, I love you. She knew I was going through something earlier, so the last time she saw me, I was trying to take outside because it had started raining, so I had to bring her in. She ain't poop. I tried to take outside again, and I was just I was crying. I could not get it together, and she knew I was sad. I just was so, and she just was licking me, and she just was on me and stuff. She's such a good dog. All right, you about to go? We about to go. We about to go, okay? All right, I'm about to get you some food in a second. I gotta wrap it up with the people. She ain't gonna go nowhere. She don't wanna go nowhere. She gotta be with me all day. You can't get back up here. Thank you. But yeah, so she's a good dog. And I thank God for her. I kind of need it. This is my little emotional support. But she ain't really just emotional support. Like she is, they are so, animals are just so special. I love animals. Let's see. I don't be reading into these comments. Most people are blind mentally. Yeah. The Bible was built from other civilization. Yeah, the information that, I got a couple of books that y'all really got to get to really see. Like some of these ancient, tablets and some of these ancient, scriptures and stuff, that were here long before the Bible, like years before the Bible, and these are some of the exact things that was taken from those things. It's really something. I got the emerald tablets. That's crazy. And you got there's so many books. It's so much, bro. There's so much stuff. You just gotta research it. It's not. Trying to get to the bottom. I couldn't figure out how to read because they weren't popping up when y'all was typing them. I understand. Okay. Anyway, I'm about to get off here. God bless y'all. Thank y'all for listening to me rant and whatever. I was just in a real space, man. I was in a real space. I'm gonna have to give y'all some references of stuff y'all could check out if y'all interested. Let me know. Matter of fact, if you're interested, if you would like to have some information, I can definitely send some stuff your way. You know, there's nothing wrong with doing research. That's the one thing that I always felt like if I even tried to research anything else or see something else that I was wrong, or I was gonna, be in violation of scripture or something like that. But there's nothing wrong with researching. The Bible does say study to show yourself approved, right? And I don't think that means just study the very thing that you're trying to show yourself approved with, because I mean that don't make much sense. I mean it's like somebody saying pick a side and don't tell you everything about the other side. It's like, it's like, dang, well, how can I choose if I don't know everything? Or if I don't at least know the options? And I didn't really know that there was any other options. I did not know it was any other options for a long time. So if you do want to have some information, and just, it's not to say you got to believe it, just, try to see what's what. But anyway, that's your decision. Anyway, y'all have a good one.